Okay, so hi, I'm Hannah Becker, and my 5 tips for multiple choice. My first tip is to recognize the multiple choice categories. So the categories are questions about rhetoric, the author's meaning and purpose, the main idea, organization and structure, and rhetorical modes. So if you know these categories, then it'll cut down on the time when you're actually taking the test, and you'll be and it will help you to have more time to comprehend the questions. If you already know these categories, you can already know like what each question will be. And also it will help you have like a systematic approach. And this allows you to like knock out the easier questions first. And so what you can do to recognize multiple choice categories is to study the list of question stems, because if you know those question stems, like I said, it'll cut down on the time when you're taking the test, and it will allow you to knock out the easier questions. Okay, so number 2, my second tip is to make sure you use techniques to understand the passages. The multiple choice questions corresponds to different passages, so it's really important that you use the passages and understand them. Some things that you can do to help you be engaged in the passages: you can underline words, use your finger when you're reading the passage, actually say the words in your head as you're reading. Look for the main idea in the passages, and also circle rhetorical devices that you noticed when you're reading. And then if you do these things, it'll help you prep your mind for upcoming questions that you'll see, after reading the passage, you'll remember, oh, I remember that in the passage, and be able to answer that question faster. And also it'll keep you from getting distracted or bored when you're reading if you're actively circling those things in the passage and doing all those different tips and stuff. Okay, so for my third tip, it's know your expectations for the test. I have a list of them. One is to follow sophisticated syntax if you want to use like bigger words and obviously like better syntax. So respond to diction, be comfortable with upper level vocabulary. Like I said, you want to be able to notice bigger words and be able to know how to use them. If you see them in answer choices, you want to know what they mean. Be familiar with rhetorical terminology, so that helps with Mrs. Mottsinger's different rhetorical devices of the day, so we should be knowing those. And make inferences as you're reading. You can make those. Be sensitive to irony and tone, so recognize that, and also recognize components of organization and style. Also be familiar with modes of discourse and rhetorical strategies, and discourse is what we are going to do with this video, like be able to comment on other people's things and look at what the author is saying and be able to see what he's trying to say through the passage. To recognize how information contained in citations contributes to the author's purpose, and this really helps if you can recognize like the ethos that it gives the author and like how it can relate to the multiple choice questions. Okay, so my fourth tip is to use basic multiple choice test taking strategies. So you're going to want to work in order, because this will help you to just use your time more efficiently and not have to be skipping around, which will waste time. Write all in the book. It'll really help you like organize your thoughts and just get all what you're trying to do in order. Don't assume long questions are more difficult. If like the longer questions aren't more difficult, so you should just stick with just answering them in order and not being freaked out if you see a longer question. Use only information that the text provides, not your personal background information, because that can start to be like confuse yourself, because they're only gonna give you questions that the answers you can find in the text. Also, when in doubt, refer back to the text, so you're always going to be able to find, like I said, what the answer to the question is in the text. Use process of elimination, so you definitely want to be able to cross out what you're looking for, and do not cross out what you're not looking for, Do not spend too much time on one question, and consider all choices in a question. So my fifth tip is use specific techniques when answering the multiple choice questions. So the first technique is process of elimination, and that's when you can just see what different processes there are. See what different answer choices there are and cross out the ones that don't make sense. Substitution or filling in the blank. You can rephrase a question and leaving the blank where the answer would go. Also, the next one is using context, and you use this when a question directs you to specific lines in the passage, and you can use context clues to figure out the answer. Anticipation is when you're reading the passage, you're marking ideas or details that you have questions about that you're thinking might be future test questions. And also, the last one is intuition or educated guess. In a question or choice that you look at, an answer choice may trigger a remembrance of things in the past, and this can be things that is the basis of your educated guess. So it says to be confident in your educated guess, and also just be confident in that and see it as a valid technique and trust your own resources. So those are my 5 tips. I hope they help for the multiple choice section. Bye!